Okay, I only saw the end. I guess the end part of your Jesse Michaels thing. Do you want me to say a few things about Jesse Michaels?
Yeah, that would be awesome too. On the
All right.
Townsend Brown stuff.
Yeah, Townsend Brown stuff is ridiculous. I mean, Jesse Michaels uh, admits he's a history major. He doesn't know any physics. So, you know, this is why the stigma is perpetuated. It's a stigma because you have these schmucks. Really, I'm sorry. These totally unqualified people pretending to, to be pundits, to be experts, and then when a real physicist, with a PhD from a good university, then sees these things right away, they get turned off. So so if you want to stop disclosure, you have just keep idiots like Jesse Michaels and people like him, as many just coming on and just like polluting. Of course, a free country, they can do what they want, but
You know, like
they're not helping the situation because the quality level. Everybody knows, every scientist knows that this Townsend Brown stuff is just hype. It's at best it's some kind of ion thing. Now they claim that they did experiments in the vacuum. I don't think so. But even if it were to work, it's not warp drive. It has nothing to do with these objects like the Tic Tac and the real UFOs. It's not warp drive. At best, if it were to work in vacuum, which I don't think it does, but I'm not an expert on that. But just my general knowledge of physics, it would just
you
be
know,
like
he did
ion
mention
propulsion.
Lewis Witten and go into some of that stuff and how physics was led astray, but he tried to
No, that's
make it seem
bullshit
like
too. Now. I must say this. Listen, I was around. I was already an undergraduate, 1956, 1957 at Cornell. Working with like Hans Bethe, people from Manhattan Project, and people like Richard Feynman would come to Cornell. So and I knew John Wheeler. I knew a lot of these people. I didn't know Lewis Witten, but I knew Bryce DeWitt. Certainly knew Bryce DeWitt. And what I can tell you, what I do think is the case, that Wheeler, John Wheeler, he was a nuclear physicist. He was involved in the Manhattan Project.
John
Uh,
Archibald Wheeler.
John Archibald Wheeler, yeah, from Princeton. And
Yeah.
he abruptly changed his research around 1952, which is 1953, right? He abruptly changed his research to go from nuclear physics into gravity theory, general relativity. And I suspect this was because of the UFO stuff that they asked him to work on general relativity. In fact,
But
if you
he
go,
was also an expert in metallurgy. They
yeah,
consulted
of
him
course,
in
yeah, he
metallurgy.
was originally a chemical engineer, by the way. He first became a chemical engineer. And actually, if you look at my Facebook page, you'll see a picture of me and John Wheeler in the year 2000 having lunch at the Caltech cafeteria. Okay, so but in any case, let's not dwell on that. So the point is, and you have I know like okay, it's interesting by the way that Eric Weinstein, who's a smart guy. Eric Weinstein is a PhD, in mathematics. He's a good mathematician. I don't think he has very good physics intuition, however. But it's interesting that both Eric Weinstein and Jesse Michaels allegedly are financial consultants to Peter Thiel. Have you heard that? Do you know about that? Peter Thiel, he's a conservative um, billionaire.
Yeah, Weinstein and Michaels, right? They both work for Thiel.
That's what I heard.
They're
That's
both
what I heard.
financial like people at that company, right?
Yeah.
So he Jesse makes enough money with his day job that he doesn't
Well,
like
who
his
knows?
interest
Who
in
knows if they paid
UFOs
him?
is
Maybe so. And Jesse did send me an email about a week ago, wanting to have a telephone call with me, but I put him off until let's see. There was a Who did he have on? He interviewed somebody, which I want to take a look at it. Do you remember who it was? I forget who it was already. But he interviewed somebody on UFO physics, which I thought was not very good. Did you see who that was? Who did he have on about a week
He had
ago?
Diane Walsh Pasulka on
No,
recently.
she's okay. Not Diane, because she's not a scientist.
He had Gary Nolan.
Yeah, he
I
had
think
Gary Nolan.
he had
Recently,
all right,
who else?
recently though. All right, so this was
And Gary Nolan.
he's adamant that David Grush isn't lying.
Yeah. By the way, I support David Grush because I have my own independent intelligence, and I support basically what Diane says. She's not talking about physics. I mean, everything she says about the religious things is, I agree, generally agree with that. Or was it Eric Weinstein? What the hell did they talk?
He's had Eric Weinstein on. Yeah.
He had.
Is it Weinstein or Weinstein?
All right. Well,
Forget.
all right. It doesn't matter. So this Townsend. Oh, I guess it was the Townsend Brown. That's what it was. No, didn't he have? Yeah, it was the Townsend Brown. He had Townsend. Yeah, I'm getting.
He had the daughter on, right?
Somebody. Yeah, well, listen, I guess it was the Townsend Brown stuff. I'm so I'm getting. I think I get a little. I think I've been talking to Colonel John Alexander too much. I'm catching his cognitive impairment.
Project Unity is the one that had Dr. Michael Moran on recently, and he's had a couple of other guys on.
Okay, Michael Moran. We can talk about that next.
Well, let's finish up on Jesse Michaels first, because that Tim Taylor. What do you know about Timothy Taylor, the NASA?
I never met the guy.
He's a mission control director, right?
I don't know if he's for real or not. I just know what did Diane Pasulka say? She went out to Los Alamos or someplace with him in New Mexico or someplace. And this guy apparently is allegedly some genius who has all these. He's kind of like a Gary Nolan type guy who's an experiencer. He's a contactee, and he meditates in the morning, and he gets telepathic messages which translate into real technology. Is that's what I understand? I may not have it right. Is that what you understand about him? What I just said? Does that agree with your impression?
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard about him, and I haven't really done much research on him.
That's the impression. That's the impression I got, and I may be wrong. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but it's it'd be great if that were true. Be good if that were true, and maybe it's true. I don't know if it's true or not. I'd have to see some of what he did. Now, apparently, maybe Gary Nolan also claims that. I think, and actually, I claim it. It's as though at least it could be just a subjective feeling. But I feel as though I'm also downloading. I feel so all the information in physics that I've been doing is being channeled. I'm channeling it. Yeah, I'm the same way that even CIA John Ramirez. I think they also claim that Jim Simivan from CIA. So we may just be fooling ourselves. I don't know. Depends on the quality of the information. I'm very confident in my physics equations that they're really working out. And so that's the Jesse Michaels thing. Did we cover Jesse Michaels? Do you have more?
Yeah, there was the Timothy Taylor, the NASA scientist there, and I don't know much
Taylor,
about
I have
him.
To see. Okay, yeah. So I have to see. I haven't seen any details about what Taylor has actually done, and if you find any, if I see that, then I can tell. Maybe he's telling it. It may be what he says it is. It may be what Diane Pasulka, I think, alleged it is. I don't know. My mind is open. My mind is open to that.
That's why, you come on and you give presentations you've given presentations where you show all the work, you show all the history and all the research and stuff. So, guys that can come on and do that, I think, are the best whistleblowers. And these guys,
as far as I know, I'm the only one who does that. I'm the only one who does that. Is there anyone else that does it?
There's been a few APEC guests. Some of them have all these credentials, and they're some DARPA guys. including, I wasn't super impressed by Michael Moran's thing. Just to start off with this guy
Okay,
here.
should I tell you about Michael? What I know about
Yeah,
Michael?
I want to
Okay,
get your opinion on him, and then I want
okay,
to talk about some other characters. And
okay. Mike. Okay, Michael is not a physicist. Okay, um, and Michael should have spoken to me before he went on, the show with Jesse Michaels. Now, I spoke to Michael. I communicated with Michael after I watched it. I guess late last night. I communicated with him by text message, and he said he was severely constrained by CIA or whatever. Yeah, he said he spent, I think, 2 or 3 days. I guess it's some room with the CIA guys who kind of coached him on how to, what to say. Okay. And in
yeah,
particular, what I didn't like about Michael's,
he said that.
yeah, he told me that. Uh,
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
no, yeah, it doesn't, because it was typical kind of, like say, mostly he said nothing, right? Or he
Yeah,
said just things. He said things that everybody kind of, interesting. Monroe Institute. Okay, the interesting things he did say. Uh,
yeah. He thinks he
well,
believes in remote viewing. He's going to go to the
yeah,
Monroe Institute and take
yeah,
remote viewing classes so that he
yeah,
can.
yeah, and yeah, I CIA is into that.
I
Yeah,
thought it was interesting that he said his mentor, the guy who got him into all this, is Paul Murad.
yeah, yeah. But of course I know Paul Murad. I was actually, Ron Bindolfi, me and
Well,
Paul
knew
Murad.
him. He's dead. He's dead
He's
now.
dead. He's dead. And I must say, okay, Paul. Okay, yeah, okay. There's a whole other thing we could talk about that. Okay, yeah, we should. I know a lot about that. Yeah, I didn't know that it was Paul Murad who first met him. Paul Murad also kind of, I think, mentored Tim Ventura actually back many years ago. Um,
Yeah,
okay, let me just say a few things. Mike is part of the intelligence community, and CIA's John Ramirez vouched for him. Right at the beginning, you saw that.
yeah,
And by the way, Ramirez is a real guy, but Ramirez admitted he's not a physicist. He's not qualified to talk about physics. He is qualified to talk about, but he is an experiencer. He and Jim Simivan, right? The experiences,
yeah.
along with, I guess, Kit Green, all these guys. And I am too. I'm an experiencer also.
Right.
So, there are interesting things about Moran. First of all, if you look at Moran, he's genetically enhanced. He's genetically enhanced. Look at him. That's not steroids. He's
Come on,
genetically
he's just a fat Italian.
what?
No, there's
He,
Italians like that. Maybe he juiced up or something. His arms are
yeah, no,
huge
no,
though.
but,
Look at the
Moran,
size of
he's
that
Irish.
bicep.
Yeah, no, he's Irish, but no, but I know
He's
things
Irish.
about. I think Moran is Irish.
He's a
Unless
barrel
maybe it's not
chest,
his real name.
man.
Yeah.
Is he
Well,
wearing a
whatever.
bulletproof vest underneath that?
No, it's not a
Collared
bulletproof
shirt?
vest. No, it's just that's him.
It's bulging.
And
Like,
that was about 2 years ago. That's 3 years ago. What was that? That was like I think it's like January 2021. And okay, listen, Moran, his mother and his family. Okay, so we found out, which I didn't know, but Ramirez confirms that Moran's uncle, a great was an admiral, in the Navy, was involved in special projects. This is all true. Uh, and it's curious that I'll bet Moran's uncle and great uncle probably knew John Warner's father, who was Secretary of the Navy back then, and who's also a Mellon, like Chris Mellon, and John Warner's grandfather, who was basically OS Paul. Is it Paul Mellon? I guess, who was OSS? Yeah, and both John Warner's grandfather, Mellon grandfather and father, were privy to all this German kind of UFO secret weapon stuff. And of course, it's interesting that Moran's relatives were at the Manhattan Project, where my Cornell professors, of course, like Hans Bethe, Phil Morrison, people like that, Dale Corson, Robert Wilson, God, all these people. These are all my mentors at Cornell. So that's an interesting connection, and apparently, well, I got to be careful. I don't want to reveal. Let me talk to. Now I'll have to talk to Moran and find out if I can. Moran told me certain things which I think are true about the circumstances involved with his conception. Okay, which having to do with genetic enhancement experiments that were done, I guess, around the early 1980s in Los Alamos. And also around that same time, I must say, I kind of corroborate, it all rings true to me because at that time in the 80s, I was being supported by Central Intelligence Agency guy named Harold Chipman, who was a chief of station in San Francisco, but he was like a real James Bond guy. He had been chief of station in Berlin during the Cold War. I mean, he's a famous guy, and they wanted me. I met these people. They wanted me to go to New Mexico, and they had this kind of lab under this mountain in New Mexico. I forget and I was supposed to. They wanted me to consult there, and they were doing the kinds of experiments I think that led to the existence of Michael Moran. Okay, and so some of the stuff that Moran says fits things that I knew about. That it kind of hangs together. And then, of course, now most of what Moran said on that interview is kind of like like diplomatic talk. It sort of says things, doesn't really say that much, and I think that's because he was coached not what to say. And what I didn't like, what Mike said, was when he told me that the CIA told him to do this, even though he knows it's not right. Okay, when he said the party line is that this technology of UFOs is a million years ahead of our technology. Not true. I've solved the goddamn problem. I mean,
no, it's not true. What did you think about the bismuth stuff, though? With that he talks about with the other isotope of bismuth? Does that have anything?
Well, I don't know. I have to see that. That's the same. That's Hal Puthoff, and that's Gary Nolan, and Larry Lemke, who I kind of work with, who works with Gary and Jacques Vallée. All this. Okay, bismuth. The clues are that bismuth plays a role. It's highly diamagnetic, and that's important. But it's not enough information. It's too vague. Yeah, so bismuth may play a role, but there's that's a complex, condensed matter problem. And of course that's that's the magic sauce. If one finds out exactly what kind of metamaterial to make, which will probably have bismuth in it and other things as well, and how to structure it properly so that it does what I think it should do. And of course, that's worth it's trillions of dollars of technology, and it's also very related to defense. And of course, in this, the Russians invited me to Moscow last July. I didn't go, but I was invited to Moscow State Physics Department to lecture on everything that I talk about. There are various reasons why I didn't go. But the Russians, of course, know exactly what I'm doing because it's all pretty public. And of course, the Russians have been monitoring me since like the 1970s, maybe late 1960s. The whole reason for that. And I was also in the 1970s. I was at the International Center for Theoretical Physics in Trieste, Italy, like in 73, 74, which was a place where there were the Russians and the Indians. Yeah, everybody was there. It was a UNESCO.
Right.
Site. Yeah.
They picked up Podkletnov, his research in the 90s as well. The Russians picked up Podkletnov's research in the 90s as well.
Podkletnov himself is Russian, isn't he? He was in Moscow. He's a Moscow physicist.
He was at
we worked
University of Tampere in Finland, I think. But he's a Russian.
But then I think he.
His name is Russian, and
he's Finnish.
He's Russian, definitely Russian.
Yeah, he's having Putvanov his Russian name.
Yeah.
and we worked at Joe Firmage's with Hal Puthoff, and even Jacques Vallée was peripherally involved. Puthoff and BurnEye Heish, and these guys. We worked with Vladimir Poponin and Gennady Shipov, who came over from Moscow.
So you mentioned BurnEye Heish. Bernard Heish, like he worked for Lockheed Martin in the late 90s.
Lockheed Martin, and so did Russell Targ, who
Right.
So Russell.
A guy actually I'm interviewing with I'm going to interview him with Ricardo Storti, the other scientist there, who's got this whole theory on Bob Lazar and whatnot.
Oh yeah, okay, Bob Lazar. Okay, Bob Lazar, has a lot of is a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, he got I think he might have heard or seen some things.
Oh yeah, I think he did. I think I think I agree to some extent with George Knapp, but not about the physics. I think Lazar was there at some point at a low level position, right? Low. I mean, he's not it's like a community college, and I think what's his name, Stan Friedman, who's dead, Stanton Friedman. I think pretty much was right on the mark that Lazar has lied about his education, that he went to MIT and Caltech, and that they erased it. That's all bullshit. Okay. And also, so he's lying about that, and he's making up stories. But I think Lazar is what I call a useful idiot, like Benowitz to some degree, a useful idiot of the deep state, of the intelligence. And I think the stuff that he says about element 115, that's all bullshit. He said a little bit of nuclear gravity, which is actually something that's something that I was working on with Abdus Salam at IC, in Trieste, Italy, with the Russians and all that.
But I also showed that the Scientific American May 1989 issue, the same issue, this from the same month that Bob Lazar came forward with his story, published an article about element 115. So I have that article.
Yeah, okay. And then, of course, element 115, what's publicly known is that there's only like maybe 100 atoms of it ever made, and it decays very quickly. So like it's bullshit, okay? And even if Lazar was correct that there was some stable element of 115, so what? He doesn't show how. So you have element 115. How does that create gravity? It's stupid. I mean, it's idiotic. It's only an idiot. There's no connection. There's no logic there. You have to show what is there about element 115. How does that generate a gravitational field? He doesn't show that. And the only way to show that is Einstein's field equation. He doesn't even know what that is. I doubt he knows what Maxwell's equations are. Who the hell knows? So you have all these fakers,
BurnEye Heish certainly does, and the guy who this guy I'm going to be interviewing, his name is actually G.S. Deemer and Ricardo Storti. So both the authors of this book called Quinta Essentia. They made a film of the same name.
Is this a new book?
This came out in
2008.
2008, and they had also made a film about it that was supposed to come out at the same time, but actually Bernard Heish never signed off on the releases to the film, so they never actually produced the film publicly.
Okay, now wait, do you have this book?
I don't have the book, but I have the film, the unreleased film.
All I know about this, BurnEye Heish, I know, because we were working with them, with Joe Firmage 23 years ago. Their theory's wrong. The theory's wrong. It's just, it's not quite bullshit. That's as far as unless they have a new theory. No, but I mean, Hal Puthoff. I know what Hal Puthoff been talking about recently. It's the same thing that. Let's see. Is there anything about the book? Can you get inside the book there so we can see some few pages? Go and see what do they have? Can you get more? Is that all they have? Just those two things? They don't show inside.
Yeah, I don't have the inside of this book. I don't think.
Is it on Kindle? Maybe I'll.
Let me just see.
Is it a Kindle book or is it a paperback?
It's got a lot of math in it. So he goes over. He basically uses this thing called the Buckingham pi theory, which almost to me it kind of seems like this curve fitting equation type.
Okay, well, okay, I could be wrong. I haven't seen it, but yeah, the point is this: I think it's probably going to turn out to be bullshit. Okay, I hope to be wrong, but let me say why I think this, because the answer of all the mysteries of UFO propulsion is straightforward, elementary, almost obvious application of Einstein's general theory of relativity. The old theory. You don't need string theory, you don't need anything fancy. It's pretty elementary. And the more I get into it, like even recently, the last few days, I've gotten new results that surprised me. There's all this stuff. Okay, if you go, let's just go back to the Michael Moran thing. He briefly mentioned toward the end, he starts talking more about my stuff at the very end. And he started talking about the force shield thing, the force shield.
Yeah.
I'm going to give some new results tonight, actually, that nobody knows about yet. I just, last 2 or 3 days, I clarified something that was bugging me. And, he doesn't, Michael, is not a physicist, so he doesn't describe it very, it's very vague. What he says is very kind of confused. But he sort of says, what he says about the applications, you can have soldiers that have armor where they cannot be shot. That's true. Like Iron Man suits, but with anti-gravity repel, okay, and the tanks and all that to be protected. That's what I'm, that's the stuff I'm working on. Yes, that is true. And of course, the Russians know this. Sure, the Russians are working on this because they follow my stuff. The Russians are very smart. Their physicists are, they had Landau Lifshitz, they have a whole theoretical physics school. And even the Iranians are good in this. The Iranians in Tehran have a very good physics department in Bohmian physics, which is part of the Bohmian version of quantum mechanics, which is an essential part of what I do. So, and
it's the other interpretation than the Copenhagen interpretation.
Yeah, it's better than the Copenhagen. If you only have the Copenhagen, you don't get it. You can't understand UFOs.
Nope.
Copenhagen is incomplete. Einstein was correct when he said the Copenhagen is incomplete. The Einstein board debates. Einstein really won it.
But he was also wrong on the quantum mechanics, because not only does God throw dice, he throws them where you can't see them.
No, that's bullshit, too. Actually, I don't. That's a side issue. Let me say. Let me stay on track on this. So where was I? Okay, so so Moran talks about the force shield, but he muddles it. But he mentions it. Okay, if you go on to Google, Julien Gaffray, this French guy, he made this white hole force shield. Can you get to that? The white hole force shield. Just show that.
Is it in this at the end?
No. Go into Google and just do white hole force shield. Go into white hole force shield.
Yeah, I have this on a slide too.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, hit that. Just show that. Just show that. This is what Moran was talking about. Just play it. Do you have the music? Play the sound. Play the sound. Get the sound. No, you don't have the sound. You get the sound. Yeah, how come you can't play the sound on it? Play the audio.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the audio. It's just got music.
No, because you have it muted. Just hit that there. You got it muted. You got it muted there.
No, I didn't. I unmuted it. It's the I have to stop screen and I have to share the window.
All right, okay, forget it. Okay, that's not okay. All right, but let me just make a point. The white hole, you see the white hole? At that point, I realized I don't need that. I don't need the actual white hole. This has to do with what I call horizons and general relativity. It turns out, like a white hole is like a black hole. It's very hard to make artificial black holes or artificial white holes. White hole is just a time reverse of the black hole. It's like anti-gravity rather than gravity. And a black hole is like a cockroach motel. Everything gets in, nothing gets out, to first approximation, without quantum mechanical Stephen Hawking effects. And the white hole be just the opposite. The white hole, everything can get out, but nothing can get in. So since nothing can get in, it'd be a perfect anti-missile, force shield. Okay, yeah, that's sort of it. Now, but it turns out, here's the thing, though. It turns out I was able to make a very simple Newtonian physics, Newtonian gravity limit of Einstein's field equations using a trick I learned from Kip Thorne. And, what I'm able to show is if you put in practical numbers like a real device, for example, Rick Doty, I know Rick Doty is controversial, but Rick Doty, when he talks about the Cardinal 3 UFO, I know that's real. I know that's real because I have independent corroboration. I know that's real. So I stick in the numbers that Rick Doty provides. It's not, I can't get a white hole horizon. It's not a white hole. But I realized that I was asking the wrong question. I mean, a white hole would be nice if you could do it. Because if you had an artificial white hole horizon embedded inside the metamaterial fuselage of the ship, if you had that, not even a nuclear blast could get through it. It would be impervious. It would be nothing could get through it. Okay, because it
Think about re-entry shields, Elon. Now your tiles keep falling off the damn SpaceX.
No, but forget. That's a whole other thing. You went off. It's important, but it's a side. You come back to that. Ask me about that. Okay.
We don't even need the rocket.
The point is, if you can make an artificial white hole, it would require literally infinite force, infinite acceleration, infinite rocket power to get through it. So that's not going to happen. But I realized I was being stupid because you don't need. That's like the ideal. I was trying to, I was being too simple-minded. All you need, okay, suppose you can make a barrier that's 100 Earth G a barrier, okay? So how much rockets, how much are missiles, how can they go? How many Gs can they go? 10 Gs, 100 Gs before they fall apart? Probably not much more than 10, I think. Maybe even 100, right? Certainly not 1,000, right?
Yeah, that's just getting crazy forces.
So the point is, so you set a barrier. You can have different amounts of barrier. So suppose I want to. I can make. I know now in terms of my equations how it's possible for NHRs, but the aliens, the time travelers, the people that that we know are here. They can make a barrier, say 100 G anti-gravity. So in other words, if you want to punch through it, you have to apply. You have to accelerate your missile. Your incoming missile has to be accelerating at least 100 G in order to get through it. Well, I don't think many missiles can do that. Most of the missiles we have today, even how many Gs are hypersonics going? Okay, so that's a lot easier to do. That you can do pretty easily. The numbers are okay for that. It's very far from a horizon. Very far. It's not a horizon. And in fact, let me make another thing that was in the back of my mind, because this guy, Tim Ventura had this guy Michael Anderson on, right, from Lawrence Livermore Lab in last July. And what Anderson, he's a project manager at their fusion, their fusion reactor projects. Okay, so forget that. So what I'm saying, okay, so we don't need that anymore. That slide's obsolete. You could do it without that. You could get the same practical effect pretty much, but without actually needing an actual white hole. That was too extreme. That's the extreme ultimate case. It'd be great if you can do it, but I don't think you can. Maybe NHI, maybe they know how to do it, but we don't know how to do it. But I know how to do something almost as good, not quite. In other words, you have to trade off. There's a trade-off in engineering. So the point is this. I now know pretty much how we can make armor. Okay, look at the tanks. Look at the tanks in Ukraine, right? Let's go into what's happening in Ukraine.
Who did you say was on Tim Ventura first? I wanted to find that.
Michael Anderson. Michael Anderson.
Michael
Yeah, okay.
Anderson.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish that sentence.
What do you think about Michael Masters?
Oh, Michael. Exactly. I support him 100%. Michael Masters came to the same conclusion I've come to, but by a totally different science. He's an evolutionary biologist, okay? He's an evolutionary biologist, and he comes to the same conclusion, which I have the physics that's supposed. So we are two independent PhD level scientists in different fields that have converged to the same conclusion, and that's good science. That's good physics and science in general. So I support Michael Masters 1,000% because he agrees with me. Yeah. Okay. So, but I never finished on Anderson. Anderson has been testing. Anderson is proposing to build a $250 million machine, which partly will test my explanation of UFOs. And what I was going to say there, he's going to make a warp. He proposes to make a warp bubble. This is when I get back to the black hole and the white hole stuff.
Is this Tim Anderson?
Anderson, let me. Is that Anderson?
No, this is 10 months ago.
No. That's not the same Anderson. No.
Is it on?
This is Michael G. Anderson. Michael G. Anderson in July of 2023. Michael G. Anderson, July 2023. That's the wrong Anderson. But let me finish the thought now. Okay. Look, we have to stay on track here. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to find this.
Everybody has attention deficit disorder, including me, by the way. What I want to say is Michael Anderson is going to make a warp bubble in his machine, a warp bubble that's 1/10 millionth of a cubic meter bubble, in volume. And it's going to have an acceleration field of 16,000 G, 16,000 times the Earth's gravity. So the question is that a black hole? No. It's still like 100 million times more power you need to make an actual little black hole. And even if it made a black hole, that black hole would quickly evaporate into radiation because of the Hawking radiation. Okay, and the tinier the black hole, the faster it evaporates. So it'd be no big deal anyway, even if he made it. So, but it's nowhere near. And in the same way, since it's so hard to make a black hole, since the white hole is a time reverse of a black hole, of course, it's going to be equally hard to make a white hole. And I was just being stupid, not realizing that, because I like the idea of the white hole. I was mesmerized for about a year or two about the white hole. But the point is, the technology is real. So what I want to say is that this is very important for the defense industry. And of course, the Russians are smart. So I'm pretty sure, I wouldn't be surprised, let's put it this way, that the Russians are actually working, that Putin's physicists in Moscow and elsewhere are developing these ideas that I have. Because they did invite me there. And so the thing is this, it's now possible to make armor for tanks, for airplanes, for ships, for satellites in space, that make them, impervious to any kind of missile attack. It's like super Kevlar. You can put the tank, the armor so you can have these tanks in the battlefield that nobody can stop them. Okay, look what's happened now. Right now, tanks are obsolete. What the Russians have proved in Ukraine is that the Abrams tank, first of all, our Abrams tank is a piece of shit. You know why it's a piece of shit on the battlefield? The Abrams tank is a piece of shit. It's a scam. It's a scam from corrupt generals in the Pentagon. Because what they did is they put in a 1,000 horsepower jet engine in there, in the Abrams tank. The Abrams tank is so hot, it runs so hot, that if some kind of cable wire, a fuel line gets too close.
It's so hot it just glows for their radar. It like has a gleaming target. That's retarded.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so that's a big, and also it only runs about 8 hours. It consumes a lot of fuel. It's a big infrared target. So you want to get killed, you go in an Abrams tank and let the Russian army blow you apart because they have air defense and they have surveillance. So it's a death machine. It's a suicide machine. And there was something else with one. Maybe was it the Abrams or some other tank where it wasn't armored enough in the turret. So if even a grenade launcher hits it in the right way, the whole turret blows up because it keeps the ammunition in. Some stupid design. Maybe that wasn't the Abrams. That may have been a French tank. Sounds like a French tank. But also the German, is it the Leopard tank? That's a piece of shit too. And the British tank is also a piece of shit. And then we have, the British. I hate to say this because I'm an Anglophile. I'm in London a lot of the time. The British military now is a Monty Python joke. I think who says this? He was either Colonel Wilkerson or maybe it was Douglas McGregor or Larry Johnson, one of those guys, former CIA guys like Ramirez and Simi Van. He says like a Monty. So they have the British Defense Minister, Lord, I forget his name, Sprague or something. No, it's not Sprague. In any case, they go on this nuclear submarine in the British Royal Navy, and they try to launch, a nuclear missile, and the thing isn't done. It just drops. It's like somebody said that it's like they need Viagra. It just couldn't.
Right, and that goes along with their brand new aircraft destroyer. The engines don't even work. It couldn't even get out of harbor.
Yeah, that's true. The aircraft carrier too. Their aircraft carrier.
What people aren't talking about is the fact that they can't even, the U.S. and the U.K. combined, the supposed naval powers of the world, can't even fend off these Houthi Yemen,
of course,
like gang ragtag, like rebels. They don't even own the whole country. They don't even control over half a country of Yemen, the poorest country in the Middle East, and we can't even defend our shipping against that.
That's true. And also, by the way, Kevin Day, Kevin Day. Kevin Day was the radar officer on the Nimitz, reported with Commander Fravor. Kevin Day reported the original incident with the Tic Tac. Kevin Day just today sent an email. He said he's in touch with Navy people on the ships. All this woke business bullshit that Lloyd Austin, who's a complete incompetent asshole, shouldn't, and corrupt asshole, this Lloyd Austin, with the woke and the DEI and the affirmative action, all this bullshit, that real soldiers and real sailors, they don't want to join the American military anymore. They can't, because they don't want to put up with this nonsense. So we have an incompetent military right now under Joe Biden's thing, an incompetent military. And here we're threatening Russia. Russia will wipe the floor up with us. We have no defense. We have no defense.
Yeah, they're going to, and yeah, the war that he started in Ukraine and the war that he started in Israel too that was all the weapons that he left behind in Afghanistan when he pulled out of there.
But Joe Biden, yeah, and the point is, they claim Putin started the war. No, we started the war. And actually, the war was started already by Victoria Nuland under Obama, who went to Ukraine in 2014 and who engineered the coup d'etat against the Ukrainian president who was supportive of Putin. Okay,
it's a mess. It's just a mess. Everything.
Yeah,
let's focus on the physics and how to get the humanity out of this.
Okay, but the reason we were talking about is that we now have the armor, the anti-gravity armor. I know how to do that now with the equations.
Well, can it make things invisible too?
Didn't I send you the paper? I sent you a PDF. Didn't I send it to you earlier today? Do you have a PDF for me? Why don't you show that? Shows the math. Shows you how the armor works. I thought
I think I do have that. Hold on, Jack. You sent that
look at
earlier
the emails
today.
I sent you today. There should be a PDF there.
That's the Creon, not the Creon Levitt thing.
It might be. I forget. It might be. I think it says just today, earlier today. I'm pretty sure I sent it several times.
I have like so many emails.
Okay, just today. Just look what happened today. Just read them off. Read off the titles. Read off the titles. What I sent you
Hold on.
today, March 3rd. Can't you see my emails?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm pulling them up. I'm pulling this up.
Yeah. No, that's a good paper. That's not me. That's good paper, by the way, but that's not it. That's a whole other thing.
All right. Then there's the thing on Morningstar, Sarfatti Intelligence Network.
Yeah, try that one. Hit that. See
Oh,
what
with the tank. Yeah, this one's got the tank.
Yeah, with the tank. That should have the paper. There should be a PDF attached to that.
I don't want to share your.
PDF or okay, okay. What else? Or maybe they were just show that. Yeah, this is what Moran was talking about, but he didn't say it right. Okay, this is what Moran was talking about. Oh, there we go. Here it is, right there. That's it. So there is. So this is the intro. Let me see. Is this the old one or the new one? I've been fixing it. Yeah. That's just a general intro. Keep going.
Oh,
Okay, this is the equation. This is the main equation. Okay, what this is here, the equation at the bottom of that slide, that is Einstein's general relativity field equation in a simplified, what's called the Newtonian approximation. That is for, it's it's not the field equation, but it's a corollary. It's what you get from the field. This is the acceleration field from a gravity potential phi with this additional S factor that Lawrence Livermore wants to test. In the Lawrence Livermore test, S is 10 to the 32. It's a pure number. It has no dimensions. It's just it's what's called electromagnetic susceptibility, or what's called the relative electric permittivity. Actually, it's a square, the relative electric permittivity.
Why is it
simple.
32? That's like Avogadro's number?
No, much bigger. The Avogadro's number is 10 to the 23. This is 10 to the 32.
Oh, they're switched around. Sorry, I'm dyslexic a little bit with the math.
All right. But you see, this is the formula for G.
Is S the Sarfatti factor?
Yeah, I call it the S field, Superman field, super field. It's susceptibility. Has to with susceptibility in many if you go into Richard Feynman's lectures on physics, volume 1, volume 2, the susceptibility. It's what it is physically. It's the response of the real electric charges, say of the metamaterial, to an incoming electromagnetic field. It's the polarization, like electrical polarization. Okay, it's like that. That's dielectric, like the dielectric response, or you could say the dielectric susceptibility, which is just a pure number. It's a ratio. It's the ratio of the electric permittivity of the material divided by the electrical permittivity of the vacuum. The electrical permittivity of the material is from the real electric charges, and the electric permittivity of the vacuum is from the virtual electron-positron pairs inside the quantum vacuum, all that kind of stuff. So this is standard physics. You got to know some physics, okay? And what the S field is, it's basically, in a simple case, it's more complicated, Jeff. I'll give you the simplest situation. The S field is the square of the dimensionless dielectric susceptibility of the metamaterial. That's a precise thing that you can calculate. It's in all the textbooks. Okay, so that's what the S field is in a particular case. And basically, if you want to think of something simpler, even the S field is the fourth power of the index of refraction, so to speak, roughly speaking. But you have to distinguish real far fields from near fields. But very sloppily, roughly speaking, the S field is the fourth power of the index of refraction, which is dimensionless quantity. So the square root of S is the square of the index of refraction. And the speed of light in a material is the vacuum speed divided by the index of refraction. Okay? So look at this. So look at that equation.
B over C. Yeah.
Okay. Now go to the next. The thing.
One question before we go forward. This is a gradient operator, correct?
Yes, that's a gradient. Standard mathematics. Yes.
And these are what is phi here? Is this a wave?
Phi is the gravitational. phi technically it's a dimensionless quantity. It is the Newtonian gravity potential energy per unit test mass divided by the square of the vacuum speed of light. It's a dimensionless quantity. Energy,
right.
okay? Energy
Yep.
divided by mass is a velocity squared dimensionally. So that this is all standard elementary, physics that
Yeah.
you learn.
Well, whenever I see this form of an equation, I see a circle, I look at it like a circle, because if you plot that out on a graph, one plus something squared, r squared is going to be a circle.
Well, I don't see what's R squared. What are you talking about? There's no R squared.
No, I'm just saying this. You have the square root here, so this is like this is a ratio. What is this, like a ratio of?
No, this is forget this is what it is. This comes from this comes from.
So this is your gravitational constant in G in Newton's
No, it's not
formula.
a constant. It's not a constant. It's a variable. Don't call it.
Oh
a
yeah,
constant.
yeah. This is why it's not a constant.
This is the gravity. This is what's called This is the gravitational acceleration field.
Okay.
G is the 9.8 meters per second squared. Surface
So
of
is
the
it
Earth.
it's the same as capital G, right? Or is it?
No, it's not.
Not.
It's not
All right.
capital G. You don't. So you don't know any physics either.
No, I'm trying to figure. I'm trying to.
I'm going
I
to
know.
show you the
I'm
next
trying to
slide,
figure out
but-
what is G. What is G
Wait, no,
then?
next slide. Okay, listen. You don't know very much theoretical physics, Jeremy. If you don't know this is elementary gravity theory, potential gravity theory.
So
Refine
this is
it.
all right. So this is like
Halliday
acceleration.
This is the kind of stuff when I was an assistant professor of physics at San Diego State in the late 1960s. This is stuff I would teach from Halliday and Resnick. This is standard physics. This is elementary physics. Okay, go to the next slide.
Trying to work
Go to
through
the
it.
next slide. Okay, to the next slide. Go to the next slide. You don't know that G, but there should be a. Okay.
Now we have big G. All right, and rho.
It's not. You understand that? Do you understand the equivalence principle? Do you understand Galileo principle? That if you at the Tower of Pisa, if you drop, objects of different masses, they all accelerate down at the same rate. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's G. That's
Yeah.
that acceleration.
As
G. Little
F
G.
F equals mg.
Yeah, that's the mg and mg. That's the little g I'm talking about. But go back to the previous slide. Back to the previous slide.
Yeah, I get it.
Go back. That's the g.
F equals mg. Yeah.
Now what happens? But g is universal. This is a universal acceleration, so I don't need any m. Okay. So suppose s is equal to 1. Let s equal to 1. Then the second term disappears. Okay, s is equal to 1, and then phi is in Newtonian thing. The phi in the denominator, the second term in the denominator is small compared to 1, so you neglect it. So then all you have is g is the great, and there should be a minus sign. I'm not paying attention to the minus signs yet. So g is the gradient of phi. That's standard. That's what's called a conservative force. That's where conservative force where. It doesn't depend on the path followed. It'll depend on like in the gravitational field, depend on the height, only on the height. In the radial fall of an object. In any case, this is all standard physics.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but this is what happens inside the material, inside the metamaterial. The simple equation F equals mg. Actually, okay, a simple equation. Wait, can you get me on a screen? Can I draw? Because this is iPad.
You can screen share if you can draw on your screen, in a program or something. You could screen share.
Yeah, I have
your
a program. Wait a minute. How do I screen share? More? I go to more.
You go to present.
Where's present? Where is present?
It should be right in the middle of the buttons here at the bottom of StreamYard.
I see Mike, I see Cam, I see chat, I see more, I see leave. Do you see it? Are you seeing what I see?
No.
All right, let's not waste time. Let's go Go to the next slide. Yeah, let's not waste time. Let's go to the next slide.
I don't know why it won't let me do that. Yeah, but we could. That's standard physics. No, I'm with you there. I just
All
wanted
right,
to make
okay.
sure.
Now look, okay, let's go to this slide. Now let's look at this. This now is a model of a UFO. Spherical shell. This is the spherical shell, right?
Yep,
Outer
this is the
radius
shell of
B.
our UFO. All
This
right,
is
we got a flying
this is
saucer.
this is like an orb, right? They see these orbs. These are
Yeah,
what is
it's our ball lightning shell.
no, let's just say it's an aluminum, like a titanium, whatever. It's a metal shell. Remember, they were Kirkpatrick and all these assholes in the congressional hearings. I think even that idiot Kirkpatrick admitted that they're seeing all these like little spherical things, right? So this is
Yeah.
that. Okay, this is that, and okay. So now
They're not
this
balloons.
this is Newtonian gravity physics. This Halley and Resnick, right? This is the gravitational potential energy per unit test mass divided by the square of the speed of light, c squared. There it is. There it is. For rho is the density, the mass density. What did I do? Why am I going upside down like this?
You changed gravity on us somehow.
Oh yeah, something happened there. Okay, all right. So there. Okay, and now and okay. So now the thickness is delta. So look, here we go. The bottom line. This is the basically, let's just call it the gravitational field, the gravitational potential field, okay? So gravitational potential field is Newton's G times the density, the mass density rho, times the inner radius times the thickness divided by c squared. Now, one thing to remember is that G rho is the square of a frequency. You know, I don't know if you took any physics, but in elementary physics, when they talk about gravity, they imagine the Earth as a perfect sphere. You drill a hole through the center of the Earth and you drop a ball, and the ball is a harmonic oscillator. It goes up and down, and the frequency is G rho. Okay, so it's a frequency squared. All right, that's the potential. Okay, go to the next one.
G rho. All right, I got it. That's like that. Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. That's if you were.
It's like the square of the frequency of a harmonic oscillator. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to think about it. You know. Okay, now go to the next slide. Next slide. All right. Now, okay, there. So in dimension.
Right. So now you've pulled it into the wave equation, and
yeah. Well, forget no. Yeah, it's not a wave equation here, but no.
Well, you got omega squared.
All this is what's called dimensional analysis. The physical dimension of G times rho, where G is Newton's constant and rho is the mass density, has dimensions 1/2 squared. It's like the square of a frequency. Okay, but now, so for that particular problem, I had a general formula. This is the numerator, that general formula. Okay, and that's what it is with the S fact. See, it's that. But now, and go back one slide. Go back again. Go back. Just jump back for a minute. No, go back one more. Okay, the denominator, it turns out the second term is small compared to the first. So forget the denominator, it's just going to be 1. This is called the Newtonian approximation. You see, if we were doing white holes and black holes, that denominator would have to be 0. And for that denominator to be 0, the numbers needed are just way beyond anything we can achieve technologically. But I realize I don't need. See, that was the white hole. The white hole is when is a singularity, when the denominator is 0 and the thing blows up to infinity. There's an infinite acceleration. Except it's going to be anti-gravity, repulsive force, not attractive force. All right, so go back.
So this is like where physicists just assume pi to be 3, and we just take a Fourier series expansion and drop.
No. You're jumping. No, it's not anything like what you said. Nobody's ever seen this formula before. This is a Sarfatti original. All that the unimaginative physicists know, they just know. They know. No, go back. Stay where it was.
Right on the formula. Sorry.
They know S is 1. S is 1. Okay, S is 1, and so the second term is 0. because if S is 1, the gradient of a constant is 0. The derivative of a constant vanishes. So all physicists know, if they're Kip Thorne and they're relativistic physics, special relativistic physics, then they know G is C squared, gradient of phi, divided by 1 plus 2 times phi, with S is 1. Square root of S is 1. They don't know about S. See, that's what they don't know. You're
Right.
seeing this like,
That's the standard formula without S in there, and you've added the S in there.
if you make S equal a constant 1, you get the standard formula of Newtonian mechanics, of Newtonian gravity physics. Yeah. And in vacuum, S is 1. In vacuum, S is 1. Okay. So, and this is the example. But inside metamaterial, S need not be 1. What is S? Remember, S is roughly the 4th power of the index of refraction. The index of refraction in vacuum is 1, and in many materials, it's pretty close to 1. Some may be 10. Okay, you're right. But they don't measure gravity inside material. How do you measure gravity inside material? It's not easy. What they normally measure, you measure the acceleration of gravity, you measure it in vacuum or in air. You measure, the acceleration of falling objects. How do you measure it? Or you have accelerometers. Okay, so I suppose it'd be interesting. How could you make tiny accelerometers inside different materials, like metamaterials, and measure the local G in there? I don't think has anybody ever done that? I don't think so. They've done Cavendish measurements, but that's all outside with steel balls, and it's all pretty primitive. So the point is, there isn't much known about how gravity works at the small scale inside matter. Okay, that's unknown physics, really. They just it's not, they make little models. So there's a lot there that's not known, and of course that's the whole secret. That's how these NHI, that's how these tic tacs work, because they know that physics. And here's the beginning. This is just the most elementary extension of Newtonian Einstein gravity theory inside matter. Okay.
Now, how do we change S?
What?
So how do you so you're going to have to be able to change S in your craft.
Yes. S is control. It's a control parameter. That's correct. And how do you make S? To make S is complicated. But I'm saying this is now, before we get into details like that, you first have to have the general concept. So let's not worry about. That's technology, right? I'm doing conceptual physics here. There's a difference. First, you do the simple concept. You got to get the concept. There is S. Nobody even knew there was an S. They didn't know that there was an S, which is related to the index of refraction. Nobody thought of that. Now, this is original physics. This is not some schmuck, unimaginative hack mind repeating what he read in a textbook. This is original work.
Well, this is like where you show that, this is like where you show that the old physics is just a small case example of a much larger physics.
Yeah, this is the extension of a fairly standard thing. If you read your textbook, they'll have G is C squared gradient of phi. You'll see that. And then if they show a strong field version, they'll have the denominator. They'll have G is C squared gradient of phi with a 1 plus 2 phi down there. That's the I should have had a square root.
Wow.
I made a mistake. That whole thing should be square rooted. Okay.
I hope that some scientists will watch this and get something.
But you want to know, okay, but I'm glad I did this, because I wouldn't have noticed I'm missing my square root. I made a mistake, and I just forgot to put it in. So this is good. I'm glad I did this, because I got to now fix that. There should be a square root there.
Oh, good. This is why I'm picking it apart. I'm trying to,
Yeah, that should be the square root. That should be.
I do know physics after all. I found your mistake.
Yeah. No, I found you didn't find. I found it. Okay, good.
I helped you.
But the point is, the reason I didn't notice it. The reason I didn't notice it was because I said, it's equal to 1 anyway. I neglect that term, so the square root of 1 is 1. So it's not going to make any difference to the original thing. So that's a typo. Got to fix that.
Yeah, but
Good.
now you have to credit me as a co-author in your paper.
But I will say that
I was also here.
if I wasn't screaming at you, Durham, if I wasn't screaming, and by the way, it's interesting, nobody else noticed it. I had to correct my own mistake. It wasn't like some of these assholes like Eric Davis. He should have right away come in and said, "Hey, Jack, you see, you don't even know what you're doing. You should have had a square root there." But he didn't know enough. Or any of these guys who looked at, they didn't know enough physics to see. I made it. Yeah, it was a stupid error. It was just, it's a type. I meant to draw square root, and I forgot to do it. And then, and then since I don't need it anyway, it slipped my mind. But so that should be a square root denominator, but it doesn't matter. So let's go down. Let's go down to the essential point. Let's go down the essential. Okay, go next slide. Okay, right here. Yeah, no. One up. This one. Stay there. So the point, we don't need the denominator. We don't need the denominator.
So then what's A here in this?
So this is just the numerator. A is the radius of the shell.
Okay.
That's the size of the ship. That's in Rick Doty's Cardinal 3.
A from here.
A is like 10 meters. It's 30 feet roughly. 8 meters, something. Yeah, it's like 10. It's like 35, maybe 30 feet. Maybe say 10 meters. A is 10 meters. And delta is the thickness of the fuselage. So it's a centimeter? Say it's a centimeter, 1/10 of a meter. Okay. And so, so what we want actually is the limit of S going to 0. This is a limit. See, with warp drive, it's very different from warp drive. With warp drive, you have to have S getting very big. That's a resonance. You need to get warp drive. To get low energy warp drive, S has to get very big. But to get our anti-gravity barrier, say if the thing is hovering at the Skinwalker Ranch and Travis Taylor is standing under it, because it's anti-gravity, it has a blue shift, and that causes radiation, that ionizes the radiation, and Travis Taylor gets a case of mild, hopefully, it's a good thing he wasn't under it that long. He didn't die like Hiroshima, but they got sick. A bunch of the guys and also that's where Kit Green from CIA gave the blood samples to Gary Nolan at Stanford, because those are all these guys who got too close to these things where it's anti-gravitating and causing radiation sickness. So they're getting sick. So this stuff is dangerous. You can make a weapon, right? Like make an anti-gravity weapon beam. You can make it's a bomb. You can make an anti-gravity blue shift bomb if you want. Okay, but look. So here's the point. So this is it. Now, so all we have to do, and these numbers are easy. This is the bottom line. This is the armor. This is how to make tanks pretty much indestructible. You just choose, you just have to get this term much bigger than 1G. And you can change the sign. You see the gradient, you can flip the sign on the gradient. If you flip the sign on the gradient, which isn't in the old theories, if you flip the sign on the gradient, you go from attractive gravity to repulsive anti-gravity. You just change the sign, like on the shell in one configuration, say the index of refraction is 0 at the outer part of the shell, and it's maximally whatever it's going to be on the inner part of the shell. So maybe I forget which way it'll go, but that may produce an attractive gravity field. If you flip it around, which you can do electronically, if you flip it, if you switch it to the opposite, you get anti-gravity. Okay.
Yep.
So that's the idea. So it's a piece of cake. So we understand now. There have been anecdotal reports of the military shooting missiles and shooting bullets at the UFOs, and in the advanced UFOs, the bullets bounce back that they have. So this is what they have. Also, Larry Lemke has some evidence about retrieved UFO materials, which if you try to touch it, you feel like an anti-gravity repulsive, like a tingling. So it has this effect. So there we are. So thank you. I got to go fix my square root.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I found a mistake. I found a mistake in my equation. I forgot to put the square root in the denominator. And
One
so
thing
there
I
we
wanted
go.
to so yeah, if you want to go, that's fine. I want to get it. I'm gonna go off this Michael Moran thing. I want to go back to that real quick.
Okay, do you have a quick question? I mean, Moran. Okay, Moran he's a spokesperson for the stupid part of the intelligence agencies. They're trying to confuse people. Okay, that's why what he said at times didn't seem to make much sense, right?
Yeah.
But he said certain things that did make sense.
Well, that's the
What is
thing is
disinformation is truth wrapped in a bodyguard of lies, right? So some of what he says, yeah, he's trying to say things, but he's constrained by number one, he doesn't know enough physics to say it properly, because he should have been coached by me before going on. Except he said the CIA told him they don't want the truth known about this. They don't want it known. So who knows? Because it's the blind leading the blind. The guys in the intelligence agencies are a bunch of assholes. They're stupid.
yeah, it's crazy because his boss was Paul Murad, and I thought that was interesting because Paul is like he's got this great resume, awesome
Yeah,
resume.
okay, Paul. Let me tell you, Paul was the real thing, but Paul, first of all, Paul was a physics idiot. Paul didn't know.
Yeah,
Paul was a ballistic. He was a missile guy, and I think he knew how to shoot a missile and how to plot the trajectory, stuff like that. But he didn't understand general relativity. He didn't understand gravity. He had a very superficial understanding. And I know Paul
right.
very well. He's a nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy, man. But like,
yeah.
for
But
this
he's
guy,
another
his
schmuck.
resume was absolutely incredible. But he like bombed on APAC, man. He like, and I was like, just like, there's so many better physicists, and like,
Okay.
the
Well,
information he was putting forward seemed like it was all disinformation. It's like he talked to his bosses at DARPA, and they were like, "Listen, this is what you got to
okay.
do."
The problem is, let me tell you
Like
what the main.
he was nervous or wasn't the normal info that you would do, sort of thing. Like,
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
if
wait, I
someone
don't
like
know.
that would have a presentation that they're comfortable with, they're
This guy
fluent.
worked on like all these projects that I wanted to ask him about, and he did a whole like hour on like UFO nonsense and crazy remote, like it was like all the most out there
You
stuff,
mean the same
but
thing that Mike Moran was talking?
yeah, it's like some
Because
of
that's
some of the stuff was I was just like, come on, man, like like this is not
okay. Well, when was this? When was this? When?
Paul Moran. It was like one of the first ones. It had to be back in like 2020, 2021, like.
Okay, but he was
No.
already dying then. He was already sick, so he made
Yeah,
that
it
up.
was right before he was dying, and I
Okay.
was like waiting for this tell-all deathbed confession where he was going to be like DARPA this and that, and it was like,
Okay,
nope.
listen, I spent a lot of time arguing with Paul Moran. He knew Newtonian mechanics.
Yeah,
He knew electronic. He knew missile system. He knew weapons. And he was a soldier. He was a soldier. So he's kind of like Louis. Paul Moran was kind of like Louis Elizondo. Okay, but I don't know if Louis, but I mean, Paul Moran knew certain things, but he didn't know the kind of physics required, like what I'm talking about. He didn't know any. He didn't understand Einstein. He didn't understand quantum mechanics very deeply. He understood a little, but he's probably smarter than most of the idiots at DARPA and in the CIA and in they had to do computer. They know how to do.
I mean, he
electronics
got that
stuff.
position for a reason. They hired him for some reason.
Yeah, well, the point is that the military is not very competent in general. They're competent in certain things, but they're not competent in these things.
No, not at all.
So
They're competent at giving us disinformation. That's for sure.
Well, they don't know the information. They can't get the information right themselves. They thought Tesla was a quack.
Oh, well, let's not get into that. No, he wasn't a quack, but
they laughed him out of the room when he told him that he could use these invisible waves to detect ships off the coast.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure he was right about that.
We do that now with every radar system.
Yeah. No, of course. Okay, that's a whole other thing. I don't want to get into Tesla.
I know, but
I want to go now. But okay, so there it is. Is there anything else? I want to.
Now, Jack, that was a great overview of the new Sarfatti math on that white hole science and stuff. And when are we
it's not white. Okay, it's not. I don't need white holes. Was too idealistic. I don't need a white hole. I could compromise with much less than a white hole and still get the same effect. I can make an anti-missile defense shield. I mean, try to find out. See, now if Paul Moran was here, if he was alive, I could ask Paul, what's the strongest, what's the biggest acceleration that these missiles can do with their rocket motors? What's the
Yeah, you
biggest
have to find
acceleration?
that, and then
He
what
would
the
know that. He would probably know that. So
or the
whatever it is,
acceleration of a blast. You know,
yeah.
I know, like,
Well, I mean, when a rocket takes off, when the space, when Tesla, when Elon Musk's rocket takes off, a super rocket, first you can't have too much G. You got people in it, so it can't be much more than 10 G. But what about a missile? What about a hypersonic? Okay, when the Russian hypersonic missile, how fast can it accelerate? If
so
its rocket motors are going, how fast can it accelerate? How many Gs will it pull?
The Avangard
well,
reentry vehicles, I believe, go up to 27, Mach 27.
RDX
27
has
what?
one of the
G?
highest
Which it,
detonation velocities of any
no, I'm
explosive,
not
and
asking.
it's
I
about
want acceleration, not velocity. What's the acceleration?
Ooh.
G. Oh no, that's velocity. That's
yeah. We'd have to do a time derivative of that to get
no. Find
a
out. Just see it. Just go Google. What is the maximum acceleration of missiles missiles? Maximum acceleration of missiles.
yeah, but you gotta
No,
block
of a
against the
missile.
explosion.
They don't need humans. Missiles. The maximum of missiles. What does it say? Is there anything? What's the highest
I think maybe
acceleration?
you have to look up drones and electronics
No,
and stuff
not drones.
too.
It's not a drone. It'd be a rocket. It has to be a rocket. Drone is no good. Drones don't have much acceleration. It has to be a rocket. You had it there, and you lost it. I saw you had
No, I
something.
didn't. I'm looking at. I would like
Yeah.
to see a G-force scale visualized or something. I don't know. I'm
No,
trying to
no.
find
Just
it.
find out what's the maximum G force on a missile, on a unoccupied missile. Maximum G force. G force. No, that's velocity, acceleration. What's
Yeah,
the
I know it's not.
acceleration?
I can. I mean, I'm working with Google here, Jack.
What's the maximum? Google's a piece of shit too. Let's see.
Yeah, it's not
Let
very
me
good
just
for
what's the
research.
highest acceleration? Oh, here it is. What's the highest? Right there. Quote. What's the highest? Right there. Hit that. What does it say? 100 G.
100
400
G,
G. 400 G. Okay.
400 G.
Okay. So 1,000 G will stop anything, right? An anti-gravity field at 1,000 G, and we can do that.
Yeah, if you could get it to 1,000, right?
Yeah, we
that
can
would
get it to
stop.
1,000. I think we
That's-
can do it. I think that's doable. So in other words, if we can make tank armor, metamaterial armor, that's certified to stop a incoming missile with with acceleration of 1,000 G. That's a game changer in the battlefield.
Certainly would be, Jack. Let's get in the lab and
Now you
build
can
it.
be
Man.
no, I don't get in the lab. I did my part of the job. I don't need a. But
No, I
that's
know.
that is. So now you want to know something?
I want to build one of these
Wait
things.
a minute. But yeah, well, you don't have the resource, you don't have the money. These are multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar projects.
Hey,
But
man.
the thing is this: well, maybe you could do something, but I doubt it. But the thing, I'd love to be proved wrong. But listen,
I'm well connected.
all right, but
We could get.
listen to this now. The Russian intelligence services and the Iranian and probably the Chinese are watching this right now, right? They're watching this.
Yeah,
So they're going to work on it. They're going to work on it. Are our guys going to work on it? Or are they going to listen to Colonel John Alexander and Chris Mellon say, don't listen to Sarfatti? Dumb schmucks.
Yeah, they're too busy chasing skinwalkers around the ranch there.
No, that's okay to chase this. No, Travis Taylor's a good guy.
Did you see the ice circle that Fugel posted?
Yeah, circle that. Yeah. No, Travis Taylor's one of the good guys. Brandon Fugel's a good guy.
Travis Taylor's a good guy. How about Tim Taylor?
I don't know Tim Taylor. I know Travis.
Oh,
Travis Taylor and I are on good terms. We're collaborating. And
what do you think about Brandon Fugel?
What?
Brandon Fugel.
Yeah, Brandon Fugel. He's like Bigelow.
Yeah, he bought the ranch off Bigelow.
Yeah. And they're all Mormons, They're all Mormons.
Big Mormon money guy.
Yeah.
But he's posting these pictures. I don't know if these are new. They look old, but these.
Oh, I don't know.
guess
Yeah,
they're-
I haven't had time to watch all that. Okay, listen. Is there anything else? I'm going to get off. Thanks for. I'm glad I discovered my error here. Any other quick questions?
I've got one. In your opinion, Jack, has the West and America really fallen behind in the technology, like with hypersonics, compared to
Of course we
Russia,
have.
China?
Of course we have. You know why? Because Lloyd Austin isn't sure what bathroom to go into.
Right?
The
Like
Secretary
a
of
guy on
Defense.
his deathbed in charge of the nuclear codes and doesn't even notify the government that he's in the hospital while
Listen,
simultaneously coming out and saying that if Ukraine loses the war, NATO is going to war with Russia.
yeah,
Like,
we have a bunch of incompetent idiots in charge under Joe Biden in the White House, but also, I'm sorry to say, at 10 Downing Street, the Ministry of Defense in London, Macron's an idiot. Macron's an idiot. A little schmuck. Little
well, he
French
was
schmuck.
always a bought out Rothschild plant,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
From the
Whatever he
bank?
is, whatever he is, whatever he is. I don't want to say what he is, but and then you have these German generals, thinking they were back in the Hitler days, talking about how they're going to shoot missiles and break down, explode the bridge, that Putin's bridge there. And I think, come on, I mean, what's with these schmucks? I mean, if Putin wanted to, by the way, all Putin has to do, he doesn't even have to use nukes. All he has to use like a 1,500 pounds of TNT in one of his supersonic missiles. He hits the Ministry of Defense in London. I hope it doesn't happen, but he can pinpoint. He can hit the Elysee Palace. He can hit the Berlin, the Bundeswehr. He can hit the Pentagon. He can hit the White House, and that's it. It's all over.
And
What
I
are they
hope
going to do
to
then?
God that he
What are
would
they
do
going to do
that
then?
before nuking the rest of us.
Well,
And I
no,
think he's
without
like
nukes.
competent enough he might.
I'm talking about without nukes.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully he would choose that and like
Oh, of
save
course he would.
humanity
Of course he
over
would.
nuking the world. Like, if
Of
it comes
course he
to that.
would. Of course he would. You know why? Because the NATO, sadly, we are bullies. We're like schoolyard bullies.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And when push
Policemen of
comes
the
to
world,
shove,
and
when push comes to shove, and they see actual blood, then they'll just surrender. And the point is, we're wrong. You watch Colonel
Douglas
Wilkerson, you watch Scott Ritter,
who?
you watch Larry Johnson, and they explain what the hell's really going on. It's terrible what we've done. We're the aggressors. We are the aggressors. I hate to say this, but we're the bad guys. And I'm not an Asian food. I'm an American patriot. I grew up in America. I was a Boy Scout. I was a Civil Air Patrol guy. I was in the ROTC.
Oh, I agree with the bad guys. Definitely.
We're the bad guys because we let a bunch of schmucks take over. Well, in any case, that's it. That's it. So, all right, I got to go back and fix my equations.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for joining us. It was good to hear your perspectives.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Later. So,
That was awesome.
yeah, that was cool to have Jack on again. So back to all this stuff. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Project Unity, who also posted that Mike Moran interview, he posted this video here, which that is interesting. It shows that there's these laser weapons that won't affect blue, and
really, oh wow! So this gives credence almost to the Hawaii fire.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say, man. But there's something weird about this. And someone mentioned that the blue cloth looks like it's wet, which it kind of does. And it also looks like it's giving off steam. And also on all the other things, he leaves it focused on one spot for a long time. But on the blue thing, he doesn't leave it really focused on the same spot for like a super long time. But then again, he doesn't, it doesn't take much on the other stuff to light up as soon as he moves it.
Yeah,
it's burning it.
That's weird.
But then there's people are pointing out the blue umbrellas weren't burnt, the blue cars weren't burnt, and the houses with the blue roofs weren't burnt.
Well, yeah, if it's a UV laser and it's blue, then it affects it differently, I guess. Absorbs or deflects it somehow.
Well, blue things are blue because they reflect all the blue light. The other
Yeah.
things are a different color because they
Yeah, it's
absorb those
reflecting the
colors of light.
UV then. That crazy.
So
We're
I don't
gonna
know. It's
that
definitely
deserves being tested. That deserves being tested.
it deserves being tested. It definitely deserves being checked. You know, to look into. But yeah, you also notice that he doesn't stay focused in a single. Well, he kind of does there, but it kind of almost heats up for a second at the end there as he pulls away. You know, but it almost looks like you can tell that, and then the creases in the cloth too. It looks like it's wet because you see steam coming out the creases. So you look at where the creases are, like it's like air pockets, and the steam starts coming out here.
It
As it
does
heats
kind of
up.
look like there's moisture though, or it could be glue or
Well, that's the
something
only one.
next to
There's a good
each
way
of
to
them.
find out. It looks like
Yeah.
one of those. I found a company around here that does this. That has one of these lasers for cleaning rust off of auto body. And I'm going to call them tomorrow and see if they'll help me run this experiment, because all I got to do is, pay them for like an hour to go run down there with a couple different color,
Yes,
like
please.
microfiber rags. Just get a couple different microfiber rags, and we'll run this experiment, live. That way I can test it and make sure that the blue cloth isn't wet, because that's certainly curious, dude.
That is, and that would be something else.
Yeah,
Real
the
science.
lasers do sound awesome. They have an amazing sound to them. But yeah, if it doesn't the blue spectrum, man, and then like you got to change the color of your roof, dude. You got to get a blue metal roof.
Bada
Yeah.
bee, bada blue.
Hey, Ashton, sorry about the other day, man. I've been going through a lot of like stuff. I was supposed to go over there onto Alien Addicts podcast with you and Keemster, dude. And I totally lost track of time and what was going on that day. So I do apologize for that, man. I'm sorry I missed that. We got to do it again. Set that up sometime.
I'd love to host all of us again sometime too, if you can make that happen.
Yeah, man. I gotta do more. I have all these
And
ideas in my
shout
head
out
about.
to Mark Soko. We got to have him on with Ashton as well, and they just did their Ashton's Hard Truth episode podcast together. He had Mark Falcon Space on.
I looked up these lasers, and they're like 10 to 20 grand. So it's not worth buying one just to run this experiment ourselves. But like I said, I can get at one of those places to probably do it. It was what I'm going to try to do. But yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning anyway. As far as these ice circles go, it almost looks like you could take like a puddle of water, or frozen water like that, and you could take a can of butane and spray the butane out, and it would freeze everything, and then the butane will just evaporate. It comes out super cold, like you could freeze your, like they could. It comes out like super freezing cold, and then it all evaporates. So it'd be one way that you could create ice. I don't know. That's what I thought of when I saw it. I thought it was a weird thing. The other thing was, maybe it's a UFO landing, and that's what it does. It freezes the stuff. And the other point I was trying to get out with when Jack was on earlier, that Ricardo Storti and his co-author here, who will be joining me later this week, hopefully, providing Ricardo's health is okay. Ricardo is dying of cancer right now in a hospital in Australia. So
Prayers are with him, and that he's able to make it on and get the information recorded and shared and open sourced.
yeah, I'm hoping that he comes through with this info. He's got some new stuff on Bob Lazar, and I don't know. I wanted to see what Jack and some of these other guys who are really good with the math think about his math. Because to me, it just looks like this whole Buckingham Pi theory is just curve fitting stuff, and you could hit any point you wanted and just adjust in the curve fits. So I just don't know if I what to believe with regards to this, but Ricardo did send me a whole big thing, and I should share this real quick. I'm gonna find it and bring it up first. Yeah, so he sent me this email, and let me share it. It had he has this whole thing that he goes over into the Bob Lazar. You know, he did this whole presentation on the Bob Lazar physics of this, what he thinks the isotopes are, the gravity A wave, the gravity B wave. And I mean, I've looked at some of it, but it just looks like he's got a video up here. I'll share that in the description if people who want to go check that out. But yeah, I'm going to have him on later this week. I don't want to spoil it, but he's going to be on later this week to talk about this whole theory. And of course, Project Gravatar is coming out soon. In 2024, I don't know when exactly it's coming out, but it's coming out soon. And this will be a whole video that they made with a VR experience that you can do. You can experience the whole craft. They've redesigned everything in VR. The hangar down to the, all this stuff with Bob Lazar. So anyways,
you having the guy on talking about that a while ago.
They wanted to get Luigi, tried to get Ricardo on, and Ricardo's been talking to Luigi. So they got Bob Lazar coming on this documentary. He's working with these guys now. I told you he's not working with Corbell.
As long as he's not with Cowbell, then it's like
he's not working with Cowbell anymore, dude. He's not. I told people that, and that was according to my sources, and it's turning out to be true. Bob's not ever. You won't ever see him on Weaponized. You won't ever see him do anything with Corbell again, dude. But he's gonna do this movie, right? This is coming out soon. And I took Ricardo's email here with this whole paper and this PDF and all this stuff that he sent me. I actually forwarded it to Gene Huff, and he sent it to Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar is probably looking at it right now, or he's seen it. So yeah. So this is we're gonna try to get this interview with Ricardo and Deemer out by the end of this week, or if we can, if providing his health is okay. And that would be great, because then we can it'll be just in time for the Project Gravatar stuff when that comes out, so we can kind of go along with that, because this is basically the scientific test of Bob Lazar's claims. So we're just,
that's what it's about. Whether it can.
He says you got to forget all the personal stuff. Just assume that it was a whole plot. All the education stuff and everything was just a whole plot laid out there to throw people off the track and get people to discredit him. And we'll just go look at the pure science and focus on the science. And if we focus on the science,
because all of the personal shit is irrelevant if the science actually adds up, right?
Yeah, if the science turns out to be legit, and element 115 makes some anti-gravity or something, or whatever, if there's a stable isotope, that would it would all be over, man. It's all about the science. So that's the evidence. That's
another thing I've always thought about is, like, if even like Saturn, Jupiter, especially our star, our sun, but like it's a small star, that there are masses in the galaxy, even our solar system, that could have elements, heavier, denser metal elements like that could exist stably within them. So, maybe it's just a higher dimensional thing.
Dude, the science is paid not to add up, man. Look at who funds all the studies and stuff, man. It's
Hey, I'm not saying I believe anything. I'm just giving a possibility. I'm saying I believe the science and it can be tested.
Solar's all pissed off about the Bob Lazar stuff. He was like quiet for a whole hour during all the physics talk, and now that we're back talking about this, well, dude, our time's coming, man. We'll get you on a debate with Corbell one day, dude. It will happen. And and you can expose all these goddamn liars. But yeah, the whole thing, Ricardo's convinced, Gene Huff's convinced that it's legit, you know, that he still thinks the story's legit. So I don't know, man. We're gonna dig into. We've already dug into that story so deep and exposed so many holes and all that and all and everything. But yeah, I agree, man. It's the science is what matters. And maybe this is all just a big distraction. But hey, Ricardo's dying, and he's a good friend of Todd's, and he's worked with a lot of these guys, like with Ricardo. Ricardo worked with Bernard Haish in that documentary, and the guy that I'm interviewing, Joffrey, filmed all that and put it all together. So it should be an interesting interview. This book is an interesting book if anyone's interested in actually getting
Jeremy,
it.
there's someone in the chat saying if you share the link, they have a blue roof and can refute the claim with some evidence. Also, earlier in the chat, someone was mentioning they compiled a clip or a little video for you of the Edleed Scallon Coral Castle, and we're asking for a link to join if you're up for it tonight. If not, I know it's
Yeah,
good
we'll
to
do Coral Castle another night, man. I'm tired, as you can tell. I'm yawning and a little bit
sure, and I'm
sleepy.
driving as well, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll save
for
the
another
Coral
night.
Castle. It's a whole nother topic, and we'll dedicate another show to that where we can put an hour straight on that, because people don't like to watch 2-hour videos, man. Nobody got time for that. So especially with all the deep physics that we just lost people with there in the middle. I'm sorry for that. For those who didn't benefit, but for those who did, I'm so glad we did it.
The schmuck factor keeps it entertaining, though. That's why Jack's great.
The schmuck factor, yes, I agree, man. Especially when I started asking him questions. I was just trying to see if
You had to
the
help
G was
him
big
find a
G or little
correction.
G, to make sure he didn't get that confused, because there were other things that were like, all right,
That's what the scientific method is: scrutiny and passing. And
But then he asked me about the physics, and I knew what the G was and what equation it belonged in, and the basics of it. So I mean, I know some physics anyway.
The S is for
I never
constant
claimed to
schmuck.
be a Dave Chester or anyone. I'm not like one of these guys. I have a bachelor's degree.
Oh,
I passed 3 semesters of calculus and differential equations. So I got
definitely not a dummy.
definitely not a total dumbass, but
I agree with the comment for the laser and possibly doing a collaboration testing this blue cloth theory of
we need to
styro.
get Pyro. We need to get the laser master involved, dude. Let's contact him for sure. Anybody got his email or a way to reach out to him? Let me know. Send me an email.
Go tag StyroPyro. Come on, AlienScientist for blue laser experiments.
Dude, yeah, no, I definitely know. Yeah, it was pretty funny, dude. You gotta laugh at Jack. So, well, whatever, man. It's
he's the character. And what about the part where he mentioned that the CIA was trying to court him down to Mexico to work on dark project anti-gravity stuff? Like, this is the first I've ever heard of CIA warehouse or anti-gravity projects in Mexico, no?
it's really weird. A guy tried to recruit me about 3-4 years ago from Mexico, and I thought it was like some cartel shit. I was like, really weird. It was really bizarre, man. And I won't share his name because I don't want him to kill me, because that dude was loaded, like loaded.
Yeah, no doubt. But that would make sense of like, hey, everybody, look for this S4 at Groom Lake. And really, no, it's south of the border. And
Yeah.
you're in cartel country, so good luck ever getting any secrets into there.
We have a better military than the Mexican army. Oh, you see, it's crazy down there, dude. Cartel land, no joke. Man, imagine if it's in fucking Mexico, dude, all funded with the cartel money and everything. The CIA's been down there for years. They killed Kiki Caminera. You saw Narcos. I don't know if you watched that show.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's crazy how much truth comes out in these different TV, Netflix series and stuff. And it's like, these people are still alive. Why are they not being prosecuted? Because like their crimes are being glorified in freaking episodes on TV. Like it's
like they've reached
just
Pablo Escobar status, and you know, where it's like he used to be more famous. Like he was famous, you know, people loved him because he would just give out money, and you know,
they give back to the community instead of taxing the shit out of the community.
yeah, he's like, hey, here's all the money that the Americans stole from your in factories and sweatshops and gasoline refineries and everything. You know, the banana republics and everything else. Here's some of that money back.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy, man. Think about these guys. They were murdered, stone cold murderers too, and the cartel are too. So I don't know, man. I would, but there are nice parts of Mexico, man. You know, like the pyramids down there,
like I'm hoping by the end of this year, probably like November, maybe even December, maybe actually for the winter solstice, to do a trip down to the Yucatan and for Chichen Itza again, because we got to get some live recording of doing that clap and testing it, and just it's wild, amazing, and there's lots of UFO reportings around the pyramids down there as well. So it'd be worth it. And I need a vacation, so I'm thinking that's the place to go, and we should definitely do some sort of YouTube thing out of it.
Come from Canada, skip right over the US and go to vacation in the next country there. Sounds like a good idea.
Well, I guess then while I'm out of country, I'll have
you
to
ever
come
been
back.
anywhere in the US? Have you ever traveled anywhere in the US before?
Oh yeah. No, I've actually about a decade now ago, but for 5 years I had a companion pass with this WestJet Airlines out of Calgary. So I actually flown probably like 30 different places in the US, like LA a few times, Vegas 15 times, New York once, North Carolina.
Vegas 15 times, man.
Yes, sir. It's been a while.
That's kind of gambling, man, or what?
No, at the time I was
visiting the
partnered with my
Honeysuckle Ranch down there.
No. So my clothing at the time, I was partnered in a clothing store with MMA fighters and trainers, and was doing an MMA clothing line as well. So the guys that I was partnered with were being trained by a couple of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu legends that were like the first guys trained by the Gracies, and then they were the same guys that trained Wanderlei Silva, Tito Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, just a whole bunch of different MMA fighters. So we were down there for the fights all the time, and got to check out my Facebook. There's BurnEye on top of crazy hotels with all the MMA stars. It was wild.
We need to work on some AlienScientist merchandise, you know, even $5 super chat from ME saying this too. You know, when I have a whole bunch of t-shirt ideas, we need to sit down privately, maybe after the show right now, and go over this. So because I definitely need some AlienScientist merch. I mean, SpongeBob got his own metal merch, you know.
Right, 100%. And I'm getting back within the next month or two to be set up printing again with my equipment, so I'll actually be able to make it and do
that'd
it
be
for
cool.
you.
I have a guy that makes shirts around here, but you know, it's kind of like a weird thing, you know. He's just like, you know, it's I don't know. It'd be easier to we'll talk about it, man. Yeah, some AlienScientist hats, some, you know, research anti-gravity, you know. String theories wrong.
Scientific shirts. You got to have at least one meme shirt.
We got to have some stupid one, and then we can have diagrams too with the black hole, the white hole, and the black hole, and then the McCulloch, you know, principle explain, you know, different things, you know. And then I want just ones with just UFOs and the whole detailed schematic graphic and the whole technical breakdown right there on the shirt, dude. That would just be awesome too, because people would start talking, you know. Just start up that
Totally, dude.
conversation and be like, "Yo, this dude, what is his shirt?"
Instant
You know?
conversation starter, as well as like just disclosure on a t-shirt. Boom. That's what it's
Yeah, dude.
about. Right?
Sarfatti
We'll
schmuck.
have to
You should have,
be
yeah, we should have a Sarfatti schmuck shirt. Like
100%.
I want one with him like this, you know, like I gotta get a good photographer to go over there
Just a
and
good
take a picture.
screen grab from one of them.
I didn't even ask him if he was back. He's got to be back from London. It looked like he was in his apartment again. But yeah, man, it's yeah, dude. I was just saying you could just go around making a bunch of circles, dude. Make big bucks. I could just take some. I could just get some cans of butane and make some circles. And like, I mean, circles are one thing. Let's draw some crop circles with like real crazy designs and weird messages with in the ice, and take pictures of that and telling people like UFOs came and did it. No, I'm just kidding, dude. People are dumb. There's a lot of bullshit out there, and that's why I try to stick with the science and
The real science. We gotta stick with it. That's what it's about. Memes and real science.
I can't even show you what I'm working on. I'm going to show you after the show ends. So I'm going to end the stream here before we hit that 2-hour mark, so that we don't turn off too many people. Yeah. Thanks for watching. That was a cool to get perspective, man. Like I said, I was not like impressed by Mike Moran, and when he said his mentor was Paul Murad, I kind of got like, yeah, oh yeah, as patient as Sarfatti. That's great, dude. That'd be great. Yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having me, and I'll wait around till it ends.
Yeah, man. Anyone else comes up with good ideas, post them here in the things. Yeah. Post them. Anyone else has great ideas for T-shirts and stuff that you'd like to see on the store, post them. We'll come up with a bunch of stuff. I want to get all these going. This will be great, dude. Thank you guys for watching, and awesome stream. Thank you, brothers and sisters out there. And yeah, I'm working on anti-gravity. We got this whole Graviflyer project going. We got these VEM drives. We got Searle effect generators, you know, like my buddy, you know, Brad.
Ooh, you just
Brad,
reminded me. I've gotten back in contact with Jason Verbelli. Just did another stream with him the other night on Friday, and we got to do another episode with him. As there's a lot of good stuff in that. In that episode, I was showing a video of a Russian guy that reproduced just a basic Searle design, and it's showing as it runs the huge cooling effects that it's having, and like that it's actually dropping the temperatures, which is proving part of what his claim was with that technology.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, if that would be awesome if it's taking energy out of the atmosphere and turning it into something else. That would be great, man. I would love to be able to.
Right? Exactly the key point.
We just got to keep plugging away at this stuff because.
Yeah, it's not violating
If anyone figured
thermodynamics.
this out at our national labs, which are all run and managed by the Battelle Memorial Institute, the same container organization that's held all the UFO file stuff since the 40s and the Manhattan Project, when they made the demon cores for the atomic bombs, for Christ's sake, these people would never ever let that out to the public. So we need to find this technology. It exists. It's all locked up in black programs. They have these DARPA fools on there coming on and coming out in the public, and they're told by the CIA to tell you this technology is millions of years more advanced. It's way too crazy, and meanwhile, it's just all basic stuff that they're working on right now. That's just out of the ordinary for most people, man. But it's just basic. It's taught at every college and university in the country, and it's all our tech, man, and it's well within reach. So guys, this has been an awesome time, man. Thank God for the internet, and hopefully it stays free, because we're going to continue to bring all this information and technology out there to the public. And thank God we live in a free country where we're able to do that still, you know. Canada's very quiet up there. when I mentioned that. Your damn
Right?
Trudeau and his trucker nonsense.
He's as hated here as the rest of the world, I guess. Like he was being protested and booed in Italy or something today. It's just crazy. I was talking with a friend driving earlier. Like, how is the guy even still in power when he's like literally booed and has stuff thrown at him, no matter where he goes, whether inside or outside of Canada? It's ridiculous.
No, they'll never shut us down, dude. We have labs all over the country and all over the world. And even if AlienScientist disappears, then if I disappear, someone else will be the AlienScientist and keep it going. So there's no way that they can shut down what we've started here, man. This is disclosure, and thank you for being part of it, man. We're totally kicking ass, dude. There's too much. I mean, the thing is, we've gotten so much real stuff out there, but then they come in and flooded so much fake stuff that we have to sit and waste so much time disproving the fake stuff that we don't get to work on the real stuff. It's like, I don't know how it's all about time management at this point and trying to, move this thing forward, because there's a lot going on. Definitely removed a lot of the disinfo and a lot of, no, we're not going to stop disproving fake stuff. It's part of the business. It goes with the territory, man. You're always going to find fake stuff. That's what science is all about. And so,
half of it is even some of the own theories and tests that you believe in, you prove it wrong, and just whatever the real science is, you have to accept. But you speak the truth of disproving what
you don't have to accept it. That's never what scientists or doctors do. They put the guy who discovered hand washing in a freaking mental hospital, BurnEye.
I'm saying you accept the results.
The guy who was telling everyone, hey, you don't have to pray. It's not demons causing all these illnesses and infections. It's actually germs on your hands, and all you got to do is wash them. They put that guy in a mental hospital. Anyways, I appreciate you all.
I said accept the results of the science test. That's what I was saying. Not accept indoctrination. Never, ever accept that.
Yeah, man. That's why we love it, dude. It's no longer guesswork, dude. It's all just technical nuts and bolts, man. And that's where we're at with it. Because then you don't have to just say it's all a mystery and it's all, this ain't about entertainment, man. This is about getting us off this rock. This is about getting to heaven and not dying in hell. All right. So epic war we're fighting here. And thank you for being part of it. You guys are awesome. Once again, shout out to Comp Lazart, one of our top supporters here, man. You kick ass, dude. You're like you're like the man out in Germany there. I don't know what you're doing out in Germany, but to make all this money that you can just throw pounds at me every show. But keep it up. Keep doing whatever you're doing, brother. Thank you. Appreciate the support. You too, Emmy. Thank you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. I'll be back later this week. I got a couple interviews planned. So, all right. Thanks, BurnEye, and thanks to your audience as well.